Ayo, what up, what up? It's Lemek with Selah Sports TV back at it again. Cheer. Excellent night of fights that we had tonight. Just a very good night for boxing, all around. The elephant in the room is Tank Davis was able to get an eighth round KO on Frank the Ghost Martin. It was a good fight while it lasted. I thought Frank Martin performed really well. Um, Tank Davis early in the fight, I um wasn't as impressed, right? But I saw what he was doing. He was keeping the pressure on uh, Frank Martin, and he was doing it with his feet, almost Lomachenko style, like making just stressing you out, staying in your face, making you work with his feet. And Frank, I thought, was moving a lot more than he needed to early in the fight. Early in the fight, he was moving a lot more than he really needed to. I not sure if I'm gonna make this a fight breakdown. I really feel like I could just break down what I saw right now. But I don't write these things down, so we'll see as I talk about it. We'll see how it goes. But before I get into the Tank Davis and Frank Martin fight, um, David Benavidez also fought tonight and fought very well. He was able to get a pretty much dominant victory over Alexander Vosdik. I gave Vosdik maybe 2 or 3 rounds tops. 3 rounds is a stretch, but if you want to give him the ninth round, okay, right? But either way, David Benavidez was never in jeopardy of losing that fight. He pretty much stayed switched on defensively. I like the way he came out. He looked really good defensively, and especially in the early going of the fight. David Benavidez, I'm talking about, like I'm impressed. And one thing that I can say with full confidence is he will never, ever, ever get a Canelo fight. We know that now, right? There's no way Canelo's gonna fight this guy. Like he's just not. And if he does, like it'll be a pretty much a ugly, messy massacre, right? If they do fight. But yeah, yeah. And another thing that I was pleased about is Gary Antoine Russell uh caught that L, didn't he? Them guys, them Russell boys, man, they talk a lot of shit. Them Russell, they talk way more than they fight. And he did all that talking, like, you know, when Devin Haney took his L, like you had a bunch of cocksuckers come out and basically say, "Oh, steroids." Fighters, professional fighters coming out saying, "Oh, the steroids didn't matter. The PEDs didn't matter." Get the fuck out of here! You caught that L. So shout out, shout out to Pollo for coming out of there with a victory. Um, and then I flipped the fucking channel and I see that Subriel Matisse, um, he fucking lost. Matias, right? He got his ass whipped by Liam Paro. So I can't break that fight down. I didn't watch it, but that's a shocker to me. That's a shocker. But I always say, man, you gotta watch these hometown fights. You really gotta watch these home. The hometown fight is almost a disadvantage for the hometown fighter. I really don't see the advantage. I mean, I guess it's good for the guy's fans, whoever the fighter is. Like you're giving your fans something, but at what expense? I don't like the hometown fights, bro. I don't. Like Terrence Crawford, it worked for him. Like Terrence Crawford's a different beast. He fought a lot of times in Nebraska, and it worked for him. But everybody ain't a Terrence Crawford. That's not gonna work for everybody. Now back to this main event. Um, Frank Martin didn't jab nearly enough. When he jabbed, he looked. I mean, he was. I really don't understand what he was doing, and I'm not. I don't want to hear nobody blaming Derek James for this because I heard Derek James with my own ears telling him the right shit in the corner. I want to say it was like in between the. I want to say it was in between the 4th and 5th round. It could have been the 5th and 6th, but somewhere in there, Derek James was like, "You getting too fucking comfortable. You resting on the ropes. You need to stay off the fucking ropes, and you getting too comfortable, right? You need to go back to what you was doing and keep popping them." Well, Frank Martin. I mean, it's different when you're in there taking punches. So I'm not I'm not in here roasting Frank Martin, right? I'm not in there roasting Frank Martin. He was in there with a great fighter, right? Tank Davis. He was in there with a great fighter, and he lost the game plan. He started losing the game plan somewhere around the 5th round. Started getting and the reason why is because of what I said before. He was able to parlay resting into a huge counter shot. Well, once Tank knows that that's what you're doing, you won't be able to do that no more, right? That's why you got to listen to the trainer. The trainer is able to see things that you may not be able to. As a fighter, you like, yeah, I hit him with that. Right? I hit him with that, so it's gonna work again. No, the fuck is not. And maybe it will, but not for the next couple rounds. Right? You might not be able to go back to that for 3 or 4 rounds and just put that in your back pocket. That's when you're going against top competition. When you're going against top competition, you can't you can't do that. That's the thing that'll get you hurt. As for Tank Davis, I like the way he fought today. I didn't like the inactivity, but I saw what he was doing. As far as, it was almost like a Lomachenko approach, and I know a lot of his fans were getting panicky. They're like, why is he not doing more? In the first 5 or 6 rounds, he really wasn't doing much at all. He was giving up rounds. He was really giving up rounds. So, but I really I saw what he was doing, because you got to watch the feet. With the top fighters in boxing, you really got to pay attention to the feet. Unless you're talking about Canelo, who has no feet at all. So, but again, Canelo's not really a top fighter. Not today. Today's Canelo is not a top fighter. But yeah, Tank, he was working. Even when it seemed like he wasn't working, he was working Frank Martin. He was working, he was stressing him out. Stressing him out with the pressure, simulated pressure, right? Because he was staying in his face and getting close. And you could see Frank Martin, he was reacting to shots that weren't even there, weren't even coming. He was reacting to every feint. See, when you do that, that will tire you out. It tires you out mentally. You are overly concerned about shots that ain't even he's not even throwing those shots yet. So I don't know. It's just levels to it. You got to recognize, and I think Frank Martin will learn from this loss. I could see it, depending on how he bounces back from this, because I mean, it was a knockout. It wasn't like a TKO. He was pretty much out, right? He got counted out. He was still on the ground when the referee counted to 10. Okay, so we got to see how he bounces back from this. Everybody doesn't bounce back from that type of loss. One thing I will say, I know he was gutted though. He had to be gutted. He kind of had Tank where he wanted. He was hitting Tank with some huge counter left hands. The commentators didn't really do it justice, but I expected that, right? I expected that. You just got to go out and win the fight. So he did some things well in there. He did, but that sitting on the ropes shit, I just don't understand. It was literally times where he was just sitting there on the ropes in the high guard, and I'm like, nah, bro. Like, you got to be doing something. You got to be either moving, getting off the line. I mean, he wasn't even moving his head, and I'm like, you can't be You can't do that. You can't do that. But I mean, again, that's why it all goes back to I'm gonna give Tank Davis the credit, right? Yeah, I do think his behavior is extremely fatherless. I do. I stand on that. Right? Don't get it twisted. I got no like I stand on that. I don't like the way he behaves in the ring. I mean, but the way he behaves outside the ring, right? I think it's disgraceful. A lot of the things he says is stupid. I feel like the minstrel show shit, the things he feels like he needs to say leading up to fights just to sell the fight. I think it's embarrassing, personally. I think it's and he's he could be a star without doing that. That's my opinion. He could sell fights without doing that. But somewhere along the line he thinks that he has to um put on a monkey suit and act like, what he's doing out there. And then the purse thing, like, yeah, I would never get over that. Like the purse, rocking a purse thing. Yeah, I can't do that. And then similar to the Deontay Wilder thing, like he's twerking his ass and shit. Like once I see you do that, I'm out. Like I'm good. Like y'all, if that doesn't bother you, that's cool. That's just a sign of the times, right? Like men don't have a problem with other men twerking, or men think that that's okay. They think that's acceptable. Men don't have a problem with guys wearing purses. That's acceptable, right? That's just where we are. But as far as the fight and how he performed, I thought he performed. It was very intelligent what he was doing. It's going to be interesting to see if he does go into a Lomachenko fight, which I doubt. I don't see him. I don't see this guy ever fighting Lomachenko. Jim Gray clearly asked him after the fight, yeah, we hearing this Lomachenko. Who you gonna fight? And in typical fashion, right? He was non-committal. He didn't say, yeah, Lomachenko, yeah, bring it on. He didn't say that. It was, yeah, I'm gonna go back to the drawing board, all that shit, right? So no, I don't expect it, but I tell you what, if you think Lomachenko wouldn't get up to fight Tank Davis, I disagree. I think that could be a classic fight. I'm not gonna break it down like right now, but yeah, man. Good fight by both fighters. One thing we got to get to in boxing is just telling the truth, right? Just telling the truth. It doesn't do anything to me to tell the truth about Gervonta Tank Davis's performance. It doesn't do me any harm. Like I tell it like it is. That's all. So that's why on a personal level, it doesn't matter how I feel about him. Like I don't live my life according to my feelings. Like feelings are a tool. It's just one tool out of many, right? Our feelings are just one tool out of many tools that we have. I'd say a lot of people, they're slaves to their feelings. No, I don't like them. I can also look at the fucking fight and see what he's doing. The reason why Frank Martin was tired and got tired of moving and wanted to sit on the ropes is because of all the mental work that Tank did early. It's like it's two ways to put money in the bank, so to speak, in boxing, right? One way you can do it is by making your opponent feel your power, right? Pause. Making your opponent, feel the brunt of your punches. That's one way of doing it, right? Another way of doing it is mental stress. That's another way of putting money in the bank, quote unquote, in boxing. Usyk does that, right? Usyk does it. I would say to a lesser it's really fascinating the way Usyk does it because he's not known for being like, oh, one punch knockout power. Like he's not even known for that. But he's still in there stressing guys out early in fights with his footwork. Right? However he's doing it, it works. Lomachenko, right? He keeps mental pressure on you the best person that I've seen deal with Lomachenko's mental press is Teofimo Lopez. Um, I thought he had an answer for it in that fight that they had. Devin Haney did well as against Lomachenko as well. I don't think Devin Haney necessarily had a plan for everything Lomachenko brought out. I just think Devin Haney put enough. He just gutted that victory out. It was just something that he gutted out. He worked Lomachenko to the body a lot in that fight, right? And now Tank Davis, like this is my first time seeing him use this tactic. Maybe he's done it before, but it was really, really obvious what he was doing in this fight. No, it was really obvious uh, what his strategy was against Frank Martin. Frank Martin, when I saw him moving around. It's not so much the movement, because movement. I think he had to move in this fight. It's the kind of movement that he was doing, like the it's the kind of movement, like he was really jumpy, jumping out of the way of shots that weren't coming. And I just know the effect that has on a fighter. That's gonna eventually it's gonna tire you out. Caleb Plant fought like that against Canelo, right, in their fight. He was scoring and he looked good early in the fight. He was getting, racking up some rounds and everything like that. But your legs are gonna give at some point, and when they do, um, because you've been so mentally concerned with this guy's punch, like it's gonna be worse, right? It's gonna be worse when those punches start connecting. Like defense is not about avoiding all contact in boxing. Defense is not about I don't want this guy to touch me at all. That's not what defense is about. Like not if you want to save your legs, right? Sometimes defense you got to glance some of those punches off. You got to roll with some of those punches. Like that means you're just going to have to feel a little bit of it. It's not about just I don't want him to touch me. Like sometimes it's I just want to take enough of the sting off this punch to where I can deliver my own, right? Sometimes that's defense, right? It's not about you just don't want to get hit flush and clean with shots you don't see. If you're not doing that, you have better odds. You have much better odds. But yeah, it was a good fight. Good night of fights. I really liked the results. Of course, the main event of the Tank fight didn't go the way I predicted, and that's fine. We're not. It's okay. Like I said in my prediction video, like I'm a fan of the fucking sport. Not like you cocksuckers, right? You're man fans. You're man fans. Like if Tank don't win that fight, you are down on boxing. I'm different, right? You're not like us. I'm a fan of the sport, so it really doesn't matter. I'm like, it was a good night of boxing. I can appreciate the art and leave it at that. So, good fights. I'm looking forward to seeing what's next for Tank Davis. I'm looking forward to seeing what's next for David Benavidez, right? I'm looking forward to watching Canelo squirm his way out of all the big fights. I want to see who he fights next. What I'm hearing is Terrence Crawford. Of course, he's gonna fight the little guy, right? He's not gonna fight the Mando right in his face. He wants to fight the little guy. But Crawford he has something in front of him right now, so he can't worry about that. We saw the danger of that was Subriel Matias, right? We saw the dangers of looking ahead. I'm not quite. I like I said, I haven't watched that fight, but Matias is out there calling out all these other guys at 140, but you got a guy right there in front of you. So I would extend that to Terrence Crawford. You got Madrimov there, who is a very, very good fighter. People see he's like 9, 10-0, whatever the fuck he is, but I watched him fight, and that motherfucker's good, man. If you plan on knocking him out, you gotta bring something. And I would never, doubt Terrence Crawford, but he, in my opinion, you don't even need a knockout. Just go in there and get a victory against this guy. It's your first fight at 154. Of course, if the knockout's there, we know Crawford's going to get it. He's a closer. So, excellent night for boxing. Looking forward to it. Drop your comments and let's get it. Peace.